Does the carpet match the drapes? This is a great start to this video. Well, this wonderful, feminist is very interested in your pubic hair, ladies. Or really just any hair that isn't on your head, but I thought specifically making a joke about pubic hair was funny because I am a mature adult with a high IQ. Come on, no one laughed at it? Pubic hair isn't funny anymore? Society really has gone woke. Okay, I'm sure you all are reasonably confused, so I'll give you guys some context, as a treat. So, on TikTok, I know, great start to every story, there's been a definitely very important and not stupid at all debate about whether or not women shaving their body hair is anti-feminist. Now, the normal human being answer is no, but apparently that's the evil choice feminist answer. But I guess in this commentary, I am going to be the evil choice feminist and argue against a particular TikTok video in favor of the idea that shaving is anti-feminist. Fun fact, completely unrelated to this commentary, by the way, I actually found this video through my friend Ephraim, who found it through a tweet reposting the TikTok to express agreement with it, and after the two of us discussed the video itself, we realized, to our absolute shock, that the reposter was a member of fucking eating disorder Twitter. Yeah, women starving themselves and mocking other women's weight. Very feminist.
Yeah, long flowing ponytail, very emo.
Let's just start this shit show.
Feel free to call me too woke or not woke enough.
I will in fact be calling you both of those.
Or whatever it is you'd like to call me, but I've reached a point where I'm tired of this conversation continuing to coddle women and water down the reality of what feminism is, so I'm prepared to say this knowing that it will upset some of you, and I'd like to ask you to take just a few moments to sit with that feeling and bear with me despite maybe disagreeing with what I'm saying. That said, yes, shaving is a feminist issue. No, shaving is not the number one, most important, most urgent feminist issue in the world. Yes, we can still talk about it. Yes, removing your body hair is anti-feminist. No, it does not make you a bad person. Yes, you can still consider yourself a feminist despite shaving.
If shaving is an anti-feminist act, how can someone who does it still call themselves a feminist? That's like saying eating meat is an inherently anti-vegan act and then saying meat eaters can still call themselves vegans. I mean, unless you mean that in the most literal sense, they have the free will to call themselves a feminist if they so choose, regardless of your opinion on them doing so. Which, no fucking shit, Sherlock, why would that have to be specified?
But the act of removing your body hair, in and of itself, is an anti-feminist act, and here's why. Let's just say we're all in agreement, because I know we're not all in agreement on this, but hypothetically, if we are all in agreement that the expectation for women to be hairless, and the relationship, the inherent association between hairlessness and femininity and beauty, is rooted in pedophilic standards that uphold patriarchal structures of oppression, then I fear acknowledgement is not enough.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. I know this is supposed to be a hypothetical thing that we're all supposed to hypothetically agree with, but no, I'm not doing this. The expectation for women to be hairless is not pedophilic in nature. Should women be expected to shave? No, but it's not pedophilic to have that standard, because that implies that preferring hairless women is inherently pedophilic, which it isn't. That's not how fucking pedophilia works. Me shaving my legs doesn't turn me, or any woman / feminine presenting person for that matter, into a child, and implying as such is actually anti-feminist in and of itself and infantilizing women. Are grown women that close to being children to you to where it's pedophilic to be attracted to them if they change their appearance slightly? And by the fucking way, you wanna know what else is part of the American beauty standard? Having wide hips and large breasts, which are signs of developed women who have, at the very least, gone through puberty, which should cancel out the other standard, but it doesn't because we have to further demonize these bullshit beauty standards using ridiculous logic instead of just saying it's bad for the actual provable reasons why it's bad. which, by the way, has nothing to do with the choices themselves. It's not bad to like large breasts, wide hips, or hairless bodies. What's bad is when it's expected of women and when they're seen as ugly if they don't conform. The individual choice to achieve these things itself isn't the issue, and any human with a brain should understand that.
Acknowledging and understanding the ways in which your decision to shave has been and is influenced by patriarchal values is a great first step towards feminist action, but it is not in and of itself feminist action.
So I assume the next step would be to stop shaving, but if you do shave, you can still call yourself feminist because, oh my god, what is this line of reasoning?
I know this is heavily quoted, but Audre Lorde wrote in 1979 that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. It is not possible to deconstruct a culture that infantilizes women.
You just implied being attracted to a woman with a clean-shaven body is comparable to being attracted to a child. Get over yourself, you stupid fucking hypocrite.
While continuing to adhere to the same standards that uphold that culture. If you think about what made you start shaving in the first place, chances are it had nothing to do with any individual man. But the women in your life who you looked up to, the women who set a standard of hairlessness, set an example of hairlessness, who taught you to shave, who may have encouraged you to shave, may have pressured you to shave, may have forced you to shave. They did so because their mothers did so, because their mothers did so, because their mothers did so, because razor companies changed their marketing tactics. And somewhere along the line, shaving became normalized as an inherent part of the female experience.
First of all, what if a woman hasn't gone through that but still decides to shave? What then? What if absolutely nobody in her life told her she should shave, but she decided to because she likes the look better, or likes how it feels, or it makes her smell better because hair traps odor? So yeah, if you assume that every single fucking woman on this planet has been pressured by their elders into shaving, then yeah, the choice to shave isn't gonna seem very autonomous, except that's not how the fucking patriarchy works. It's not that fucking simple. Second of all, the thing about razor companies is a half-truth. While it is true that razor companies encouraged American women to shave their legs to inflate sales, there's also evidence that points towards the fact that people were shaving in ancient Egypt. Not only is your view of this history incredibly simplified, but it's also incredibly Americanized.
Now think about the little girls in your life. Think about your daughters, your sisters, your nieces, your cousins. Think about the way that they view their body hair as they begin to grow and change because of the way that you view your body hair. This creates an endless cycle of conformity and insecurity.
If I'm not actively telling them about my feelings about my body hair, how the fuck would they know? Are they reading my mind? And this line of logic can be disproven using some basic comparisons. I dyed my hair pink a while ago. My younger brother didn't suddenly get the urge to dye his hair pink because I decided to. My cousins didn't suddenly get the urge to dye their hair pink because I decided to. So why the hell would seeing me with shaven legs automatically brainwash the next generation into doing the same? And why is this gender locked? What if a boy lived in an all-woman household and they all shaved? Would he feel the need to shave? Or does this only apply to young girls?
Because as a little kid, if you never see a grown woman with body hair, what it's teaching you is that you cannot exist as a grown woman with body hair. And of course that's going to develop into insecurities as soon as your body starts to grow hair.
Except if we gave all women the choice, I know, scary, to shave or not shave, there would more than likely be a mix of shaven and non-shaven women in this hypothetical little girl's life, meaning, you know, she'd know that she can do whatever the fuck she wants with her body, which I thought was the point of feminism, but I guess not. This specific type of feminist logic fails immediately because it's just based on meaningless contrarianism, the fight to be as unique as possible with no real end goal. Because, okay, let's say, best case scenario for this rhetoric, every woman in the world stops shaving. then you've just created another fucking beauty standard. With a more choice feminist type of solution, this doesn't happen. Now, I do want to clarify that I'm not completely on board with choice feminism in its most basic form, that being the fact that any choice a woman makes is inherently feminist, because if a woman chooses to, for example, be sexist towards other women, that would not be feminist. Women can do bad and sexist things and should be criticized for it. However, choice feminism brings up a very important point that I think feminism as a wider concept should apply, which is that being a feminist isn't just contrarianism. It's the fight for a woman to choose the path she wants, not the path the patriarchy wants, not the path you want, the path she wants. And if that ends up aligning with the patriarchy in some ways, that's fine. It's bound to happen. And we can argue all day and night about whether or not she's being secretly brainwashed by the patriarchy, but at the end of the day, she is choosing her own path and isn't harming anyone. And fighting against that is just fighting against what feminism is supposed to be about.
Of course that's going to manifest as physical discomfort, as things like sensory issues.
That's not what fucking sensory issues are. Sensory issues happen because the brain processes sensory input in an atypical way. You aren't gonna get fucking sensory issues from the patriarchy. That isn't how that fucking works.
That doesn't mean those experiences aren't real, but you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree and they didn't just come from nothing.
That's right, kids. The patriarchy causes sensory issues and vaccines cause autism. This is smart logic.
When something like hairlessness is presented as the only option, there is no choice. Women and girls will never truly be able to choose to shave until more and more of us stop doing it.
They can't be serious, right? Hey, dumb fuck, does this apply to anything feminine in nature? Can women not truly choose to wear dresses or like pink or wear makeup or have long hair until this patriarchal world is ready for us to exist the way we want? Yeah. Treat us like children. Take away our toys until our dumb-witted dishwasher brains learn how to play with them feministly. This is fucking feminism, guys. So many feminist discussions on this godforsaken app are just feminists figuring out cool new ways to keep women on a leash. Women can't shave. Women can't be into BDSM. Women can't do sex work. Women can't read dark romance. Women can't. What about what we can do? Why is feminism nowadays just focused on trying to keep women from having fun?
That is why this is a feminist issue, because feminism is not about the individual. It is not about what makes you feel good as a woman. It is about liberation for all women from all systems of oppression.
Oh, which is why you then need to become the next system of oppression so you can oppress women feministly. I understand now. And dare I say, as a dumb little woman who's just being puppeted by the patriarchy because, as we know, women don't have thoughts of their own, viewing women negatively for engaging in feminine activities is misogynistic in and of itself, because femininity should be embraced by those who want to engage in it, regardless of gender or sex. Viewing femininity as shameful is a huge part of the patriarchy, which you are currently perpetuating by saying that shaving is a negative trait and not a neutral one. It's basically saying anything women usually engage in is bad, with a landlord special painted on top. I can see where you painted over the fucking outlets.
And when women are considered dirty, ugly, gross, or unhygienic for existing with the hair that grows naturally on their bodies, that is a tool of oppression. Oftentimes, individual sacrifice, like maybe giving up the feeling of freshly shaved legs under clean sheets, for example, are entirely necessary for feminist progress to be made.
When women want to do something but can't because of unfair standards put on them, that's called oppression. That's what you're arguing for right now. You believe in the same way a woman wants to wear a suit but can't without being viewed differently. Women should refrain from shaving if they want to so they aren't being anti-feminist. This is feminism, apparently.
And the thing about not shaving is it's literally not doing something. It is a non-sacrifice, and learning to be comfortable with your body hair, learning to love it, will make you so much more comfortable in your skin as a whole.
If you believe everyone should be comfortable in their most natural state, why is your hair cut short? You'd just be so much more comfortable in your body if you learn to embrace your hair's natural length. This isn't a condescending argument in the slightest. You're just so stupid because you're a woman that I have to tell you how you should feel about your own body.
I am not trying to shame women. I am not trying to make anyone feel bad for shaving, because genuinely it is not something that reflects poorly on your character. It's not a flaw.
I'm not saying it's bad that you're shaving. I'm just saying that it's an inherently anti-feminist act that hinders feminist progress. Oh, fuck off! You are bullshitting so fucking hard.
But as a feminist,
no, you aren't. You're a contrarian pretending to be a feminist. You're not an actual feminist because you want to control women just as much as the patriarchy does. You just want to control women to do the exact opposite of what the patriarchy says. You're trying to play a game of tug-of-war with women. You're not actually trying to free women from patriarchal standards. You just want to create different standards.
You must be willing and able to unpack your own behaviors and sit with the discomfort that comes from unlearning patriarchal values.
And despite this, you seem to have a deep-rooted urge to control women's bodies. Strange how everyone needs to check their biases except you. My only final thoughts for this video is, if your solution to dismantling the patriarchy is basically creating a new patriarchy, that's not feminist. It's not. That's like saying, I think dictatorships are bad, which is why I'm gonna become the next Hitler. These are the same fucking people who will preach, my body, my choice, and then try and pressure women into picking a specific choice because they personally believe that choice is more feminist. I understand that you are not forcing women at fucking gunpoint to keep themselves hairy. I am not claiming that. Just like, in the modern day, the patriarchy isn't forcing women at gunpoint to shave themselves. So if you want to say that you aren't pressuring women into picking a specific choice, neither is the patriarchy. We've got to be consistent with this shit. This video illustrates perfectly why I hate these TikTok feminist think pieces. They all just want to control women and are so black and white with how the patriarchy works, with how women work, with how everything works, that it doesn't actually work when you try to apply it to a long-term scale, because then what happens is you've just created another fucking patriarchy. And despite these people apparently being feminists, a lot of them will demonize femininity and imply that women are just so dumb and so susceptible to the patriarchy, and they just don't understand how brainwashed they are, and any choice they think they're making, they're not actually making, because women only make choices based off of men. I'm not using rhetoric pulled directly from the 1920s. I have a buzz cut, see? I think today's moral is, do whatever the fuck you want forever. Goodbye.